We're going to continue with Chapter 5 in the book City Dreams. The chapter heading is Good News. Listen for the first time while I read, and then we'll read it again together. So this time, just listen. Finally, it stops raining, but Joe is cold and wet. He doesn't want to look for an air mattress anymore. Joe is in a bad mood. He finds the subway station. He takes the subway back to Max's neighborhood. Joe unlocks the door of the apartment. He takes off his wet jacket and shoes. Joe is very tired. He lies down on Max's bed. It's very comfortable. Joe falls asleep. He sleeps for a long time. The telephone rings. Joe wakes up. He answers the telephone. It's Max. He has to work all night. You can sleep in my bed, says Max. Thanks, says Joe. That's good news. Joe hangs up the telephone. He closes his eyes again, but now he can't sleep. Let's read it again, and this time you read with me. Finally, it stops raining, but Joe is cold and wet. He doesn't want to look for an air mattress anymore. Joe is in a bad mood. He finds the subway station. He takes the subway back to Max's neighborhood. Joe unlocks the door of the apartment. He takes off his wet jacket and shoes. Joe is very tired. He lies down on Max's bed. It's very comfortable. Joe falls asleep. He sleeps for a long time. The telephone rings. Joe wakes up. He answers the telephone. It's Max. He has to work all night. You can sleep in my bed, says Max. Thanks, says Joe. That's great news. Joe hangs up the telephone. He closes his eyes again, but now he can't sleep. Now let's answer some questions from the story. In this exercise, we're going to check yes if the sentence is true about the story, or we'll check no if the sentence is false about the story. Let's read number 1. Finally, it stops raining. Again, finally, it stops raining. What do you remember from the story? Yes, this is true. It did finally stop raining. Number 2. But Joe is warm and dry. Again, but Joe is warm and dry. Was Joe warm and dry? No, Joe was cold and wet. Number 3. Joe is in a bad mood. Again, Joe is in a bad mood. Yes, Joe was wet and cold and in a bad mood. Number 4. He takes the bus back to Max's neighborhood. Again, he takes the bus back to Max's neighborhood. Did he take the bus back? No, he took the subway back to Max's neighborhood. Number 5. Joe locks the door of the apartment. Again. Joe locks the door of the apartment. Did he lock the door? No. When he got back home, he unlocked the door. Number 6. He takes off his wet jacket and shoes. Again. He takes off his wet jacket and shoes. This statement is true. He did take off his wet jacket and shoes. Number 7. He lies down on the floor. Again. He lies down on the floor. Did he lie down on the floor? No. He lies down on Max's bed. Number 8. Joe falls asleep. He sleeps for a long time. Again. Joe falls asleep. He sleeps for a long time. Yes, he did fall asleep, and he did sleep for a long time. Number 9. The telephone rings. Joe wakes up. Again. The telephone rings. Joe wakes up. Yes, the telephone did ring and it did wake up Joe. Number 10. Max can sleep in Joe's bed. Again. Max can sleep in Joe's bed. No. Max called and said Joe can sleep in Max's bed. Let's look at some of the words from the story. In this exercise, we will be matching opposites. First, let's read the words by the numbers. Number 1, long, long. Number 2, comfortable, comfortable. Number 3, bad, bad. Number 4, wet, wet. Number 5, tired, tired. Number 6, cold, cold. Now let's read the words by the letters on the right side of the paper. A, good, good. B, dry, dry. C, short, short. D, hot, hot. E, uncomfortable, uncomfortable. F, energetic, energetic. Now let's start with number 1, long. Which of the words by the letters on the right side are the opposite of long? Short. So we'll put C by long. The opposite words are long and short. Number 2, comfortable. What word is the opposite of comfortable? Uncomfortable. E, comfortable, uncomfortable. When we put the first 2 letters UN in front of the word, that's called a prefix, and it means no or not. So it makes it not comfortable. Number 3, bad. What word by the letters is the opposite of bad? Good. We'll put letter A to make the opposites bad, good. Number 4, wet. Which word by the letters is the opposite of wet? Dry. B. The opposites are wet and dry. Number 5. Tired. What word by the letters is the opposite of tired? Energetic. F. Energetic. This means that you are full of energy. The opposites, tired, energetic. Number 6, cold. What word is the opposite of cold? Hot. But D. The opposites are cold and hot. Now we'll look at some sentences and decide if they're true, we'll mark yes, and if they're false, we'll mark no. And this is about you, not from the story. So let's read first the sentences. Number 1, I am sometimes in a bad mood. Again, I am sometimes in a bad mood. Number 2, I am sometimes very tired. Again, I am sometimes very tired. Number 3, I sometimes sleep for a long time. Again, I sometimes sleep for a long time. Number 4, I sometimes have to work all night. Again, I sometimes have to work all night. These are my answers. For number 1, yes, I am sometimes in a bad mood. Number 2, yes, I am sometimes very tired. Number 3, yes, I sometimes sleep for a long time. Number 4, no, I don't ever have to work all night. Your answers will be different than mine. So you write your answers for yes or no to change the sentence to be true or false about you. That's it for today. We'll finish our work on Chapter 5. Check back soon for more.